And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Talya, who claims to be a reptilian contactee, which we're going to learn about and more. Talya, thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm happy to be here.
Talya, how did all this contact start from you?
A good place for me to start would be to express that I have a very active dream life, a lot of astral traveling, a lot of lucid dreams. That has been something that I've experienced through the entirety of my life. It was more active when I was a younger child, which I think is quite common. And then as I got older, I wasn't interested in my dream life, even though I was still experiencing a lot of lucid dreams, a lot of astral traveling. I just wanted to be here in this world. And so I put that aside for quite some time. And in the last, I would say 8 years, I have been paying a lot more attention to what is going on in other areas of my life. And by that, I mean just different levels of consciousness. When I am astral traveling or lucid dreaming, or when I am meditating, even when I'm fully rooted here in this realm, having experiences when I am just going throughout my day, that's when I started to really notice that something more was going on. So when I was being contacted, when I just after a shower or just after dinner, when I wasn't meditating and I was just going about my day-to-day life, I started noticing that I would feel a presence, and this presence that I would feel, it wasn't scary in any way, and it wasn't outside of me. It actually came from inside of me. And a big sign for me that this was happening, because I noticed this the very first time, was that I was in a t-shirt and I touched my skin, and I couldn't believe how soft my skin felt. And almost like my hand was melting into milk. And I realized that it wasn't me touching my skin. It was actually another being that I don't think saying that it came into my body is accurate. It was more like it meshed with me. And then it used my hand to touch my skin. And immediately when that happened, I was shown an image in my mind of this being. And again, it wasn't scary. Nothing about it was scary. So that was the first time that I feel that I was open to it.
This is a great place to stop you for a moment. So if we go back to your life, you've had this history of lucid dreaming and astral traveling. Did you know that that was astral traveling and lucid dreaming, or did you just think you had an active imagination?
I didn't know what it was. And to be perfectly clear, in my childhood, I was always trying to escape it because I was seeing a lot of scary things in my dream life as a child. A lot of scary things. It was very terrifying for me as a child. So oftentimes I would try and erase my memory from it because I didn't like what I was experiencing. So I would say that my initial introduction to this was just when I was born. It was from as early as I can remember, and it was very scary. And I would just call them nightmares because I didn't have any other terminology for it when I was a little girl. So I would just say nightmares. But I know now that it was so much more than that.
So at some point in your life, you started having contact outside of your dreams. At least that's the way I interpret it, like after you got out of the shower or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So with that kind of contact, that would be like you were hearing things, or you just felt like there was a presence with you?
There was a presence with me. So I was seeing things. I was seeing things, but not here. I was seeing it in my mind. But the presence of this being became one with me and actually showed me what he looked like and then asked permission if he could stay for an experience. So even though he kind of gave he first came to me and kind of gave me like, this is what it feels like, and then I knew that I was being asked telepathically to give consent. So I said yes. I was very excited actually, and I said yes, yes. I said yes verbally out loud, probably 7 times. I was so excited. Yeah.
What did he look like?
He is a reptilian, and what he looked like, very tall. And initially, I was just shown like. Initially, I saw like the first thing I saw was the torso, and I knew it was a male as well. A greeny blue in color, like kind of metallic-y looking, and had really large muscular thighs, and his torso was really quite narrow. And I remember seeing his hands were also really large. And then that's when I saw how tall he was, which would have been probably close to 7 feet, I would say, just under 7 feet tall. So just with those little pieces, I could tell that he was reptilian. And I was very comfortable with him. It wasn't the first time that I met him, but that was the first time I had an experience where he connected with my body in this reality here.
You weren't freaked out about him at all? Like it was spooky or scary?
No, I smile when I talk about him because I actually feel so much love for him and I feel so much love from him. And in that moment, I also felt that. So I felt I felt the resonance of who this being was on a soul level. And he just happens to be inside this reptilian body. And I know more details now than I did at that time. So I know that he's an Earth reptilian. So I know that he actually lives here on Earth in a different dimension, not in the same physicality that we are in, but I do know that he is here on Earth. Mm-hmm. No fear, actually excitement and a lot of love.
When did you see his face and what did it look like?
So that's an interesting question because he did not initially show me his face. And I was asking, I was saying, I want to see your face. I want to see your face. I want to see your face. And even after we had this experience together, because he did come in for a temporary experience at this time that lasted 30 minutes in length. And so even after that, I still didn't, I was saying, like, why aren't you showing me your face? And so eventually I did see his face. And I believe that the reason he didn't show me his face immediately is because he didn't want to scare me. And his face, there were characteristics that were similar to humans. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. But his nose was more almost just like 2 holes. Like there really was no bridge for the nose. and his mouth, it was really just like a slit. And I'm not sure if he can smile or really move his mouth very much. Um, and it was quite long, I suppose, like high cheekbones, and then it really narrowed down. His eyes were quite like narrow, like very like all like very large, but kind of long. And then his head was similar texture to the rest of his body, like almost like a scaly texture. And I understand now that that's why when he touched my skin, it felt like cream. It was so incredibly soft to him. To me, it just feels like skin. But to him, because he has these scales on his body and a completely different texture than we do, I understand why he was so interested in touching my skin, because it was so different and just felt so soft.
At any point, did you doubt what was going on and think, is this real?
I was so present and in the moment that I had no opportunity to doubt what was going on. I was completely immersed in it, that I guess the answer is no, because I wasn't in this state of mind where I was analyzing anything, because I was in it. After, let's say after this interaction that I'm specifically talking about, that happened in May of 2023. That's this one that we're talking about right now. After that happened, my brain did start to go, what was that? I have never experienced anything like this before. What was that? And this logical part of my mind started seeking and searching for answers. So I did have that, and I didn't share this experience with anybody for about, I would say, like 3 or 4 weeks, because I didn't know how to put words around it. But I never doubted it. I knew that it had happened. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was an abnormally warm day for the month of May where I live, and uh, everything about it was just so perfect and aligned, and such an exhilarating experience, loving experience, kind experience, that I felt like it was a gift. I was extremely grateful, and I never doubted it. I needed time to process it, because I think that these are new experiences that we are having as human beings. I think a lot of people are having new experiences. It's really hard to put context to it. And so that's actually a motivator for me to speak about it here, because I'm hoping that I can connect with other people who have had maybe similar experiences. Yeah.
Did you even know what a reptilian alien even was before this happened?
Yes, I did, because before this experience, I had met. So, yeah, this goes into another meeting that I had when I was astral traveling in my dream life. And when I am having dreams, sometimes I'm just sorting out my day and I'm having normal dreams, and then other times I'm astral traveling. So um, I can decipher the difference between the two, and I do have both. So I was aware of reptilians, yes, and I I've never had a special interest in sci-fi films. Um, no, but I was aware of them, and I I can recall right now meeting another race of reptilian beings that looked different from the ones I just described. And so I had other astral travel meetings with other reptilians. So yeah, so I knew right away that this one was also reptilian. I I I do have energy about me that does connect in certain ways to reptilians. I believe that there are, as human beings, some of us connect with reptilians on a deeper level. Sometimes it's Arcturians, and so on. And so for me, I do have a resonance that connects me with reptilians.
Do you think it's possible that you are a reptilian having a human incarnation?
I've never thought about that. Absolutely, it's possible. Not something I've thought about very much, because I have made a very conscious decision to embrace being a human, and I love being a human. And surely I've experienced other suits. I view this as a suit that I get to wear in this life. So I connect very deeply with being a human. But perhaps I have lived lives as reptilian, and maybe that's why. It's possible.
For the ET that has contacted you and revealed himself to you, what is his name?
Oh, I like this question. So the Earth reptilian that I discussed, he does not have a name. And this is something that's very common with ETs, is they don't have names because once they have evolved out of needing language, they communicate telepathically. They have an energy about them, and they don't need names anymore. So this is something I have asked many of the times that I've met reptilians, what is your name? And because I like, they always tell me they don't have a name, but that I can give them one, or that they can give me one that resonates the best with them. So I do have names for them that resonates, but they don't actually have names. And I think sometimes ETs will tell us, like, or certain ETs will give us names to make it easier for us, because we like names. And I do. I like names as well.
How many Earth reptilians have you met?
So the one I just described, and his name is Godric, and he's very close to my heart. So he is one that I have. I've known him in other lives as well. Like, we have a soul lineage together. Me and me and Godric. So I have a very strong connection with him. So the next one that comes to mind is a female reptilian, and she is also an Earth reptilian. She's in the same, I want to call it a pod that Godric is in, and she is intense. I've met her I've met her in the astral realm. And so she is very intense, and she really postures and kind of is I think that's where the natural fear that we have as humans from reptilians, like, comes from. Like, I can sense it with this female reptilian, who, she is friendly with me, but she's always testing me, and she's always making sure that I am good enough to communicate with. So she has very high standards, and that's how I see it as well. I see a lot of reptilians as having very high standards. So, and that's something I've learned about them, is that they don't actually particularly like humans very much. And a big part of that is because they value things such as strength, honor, pride, respect. Those are very important qualities to them. And they see that the human race struggles so greatly with that. And so they don't see us in a very nice light. So any of the reptilians that I have had an interaction with, they test me, and they make it very clear. They make it very clear that I need to prove myself to be good enough to actually have engagements with them.
Do you think it's all about proving yourself to this female, or is it possible she's jealous of your relationship?
I've wondered the same thing. My understanding with this is that I have asked, when I am with Godric, I have made it very clear to him that I want to be very involved, that I want to meet the reptilians that are closest to him, the ones in his pod. And so, because a lot of our interactions, I don't want to say they're done in secret, but they are like it's not really admirable that he is engaging with a human. So it is, I'm not sure about the jealousy thing, but I do know that his involvement with me is something that she isn't very excited about. But because I want to prove myself to them. I want to be more involved. I've asked for this. I've asked to meet some of them, and she has come to me. And actually, I've been quite scared of her before. That it's shaken me out of the astral realm, and I've come back to my body to get out of the situation because I have been provoked so bad. My fear has been provoked, so that I come back to my body.
How is Godric able to locate you in our dimension?
Oh, very easy. That's like, I don't know how, but I know that it can happen in a second or less. It's so easy. I can't locate him, unfortunately. I don't know where he lives. I would like to. I would like to find out if there is like a specific location where he is on Earth. So I believe it's just because we are in different dimensions or densities, or the human race and the Earth reptilian race, we are living in different dimensions that have different rules. So in their dimension, they can locate humans that they have a soul connection with, like that. And even if they don't, they might be able to too. I'm not really sure, but I believe it's just because there's different rules to their reality. Because he locates me, it's a non-issue for him.
You mentioned earlier that you had shared other lives together. During those lifetimes, were you both human, reptilian, or even something else?
I don't know at this time. So at this time, I'm not sure what those incarnations looked like. But what I do know is that we share a soul, what is called a soul lineage. So whatever that means, my understanding is that we do have other souls that we have a lineage with them. Like we have patterns of incarnating with them. They would be a part of our ancestors or our family, and that doesn't just remain true to humans. That's something that I learned, that we can have soul lineages with other beings. And actually, I think that we all do. I don't believe that that's something that's unique. I think that we all have that. And when we do have a soul lineage with a particular being who's incarnated at this time on another planet and in another being, I think it's very, very natural for them to connect with us. And I also know that there are many times that I have connected with Godric, and probably others that I don't recall, because it's really hard to bring that information into our human brains here. It's more of an energy or a feeling. You might wake up one morning and you just feel different, and you feel more connected. You have a little bit more love in your heart. Moments like that, I believe that we could be out in the astral realm. Maybe we don't remember our dreams when we wake up, or we didn't that night. We have this feeling when we wake up, like a feeling of love. And I believe that we could have been out connecting with these other beings that we share soul lineage with, and that we have a lot of shared love with them.
Are you still in contact with Godric today?
Yes, I am.
How often do you have contact?
It's very regular. We have a lot of contact in the astral realm. It's every month. Like a month never goes by that I do not have contact with him, that I wake up from and remember. And I'll be like, oh, that, like, I got to hang out with Godric, and we do different things. And sometimes they're just very normal, almost like earthly experiences that you'd have here. But because we can't have those together here, we'll have them in the astral realm. I have, but I do sometimes go 2 or 3 weeks where I think, where I start to miss him. And um, I would, I would consider him a very, well, he is a very important part of my life at this time. And what I have to be careful of is that I do actually live my life here as a human, and that I don't get too wrapped up in a sort of codependent, addictive relationship with him, because I will tell you that that is something that can happen very easily with reptilians. I don't know. I don't know why with reptilians. I don't know if that happens with other beings, but because of my experience with reptilians, they can provoke, or they do provoke, something inside of us humans, something very animalistic, something very reptilian. The reptilian DNA and all of inside all of us, they can provoke that in us, and it makes us feel addicted to them. So we need to be very balanced as humans. That's something I have to do with my connections, is to remain very balanced, that I don't go into this sort of like addictive pattern of always needing to be with him and needing to have more.
Has he ever revealed anything to you, like what the status of humanity is right now, or what are the reptilians doing in their dimension?
So what he has revealed to me, um, I don't think this really answers your question, but kind of, what he has revealed to me is how his race of beings views humans and how things operate for them. So from what I've learned from him is that Earth reptilians are very similar to humans in the sense that overall humans are very, for the most part, quite kind and good natured, but we also have some humans, we exist on the spectrum. We have very evil humans with really toxic traits that have no problem harming other people, even murdering other people. So they are the same way. So they do have, they overall, they are actually, they cooperate very well. They live together in harmony. But they do have the smaller portion of the few Earth reptilians. And I'm speaking only of Earth reptilians at this time. I can't speak for other, because there's many types of reptilians. So their structure works very similar to ours, where there's a small group of Earth reptilians that have kind of enslaved the rest of them, and they kind of have this hierarchy that's very, very similar to us on Earth. So that is something that he has told me, that that's something that's similar.
Has he ever revealed to you like what your purpose here is and why you are a human, since you've known each other in past lives?
So given the nature of our relationship is very loving. We're very bonded. Um, he will tell me that that is for me to figure out. He will tell me that it's my path, and that he is here to walk alongside me, but that is for, that he's not going to, he doesn't want me to see him as this, like, he's not an all-knowing being that is extremely evolved past me. And Earth reptilians, they're not. They have evolved further than humans, but not like, they're not extremely far beyond us. So he does make that very clear, like that I'm on my own path, and that it's for me to sit with and be patient and kind and loving to myself, and surround myself with other people or beings who have love for me, and that is all that's essentially the purpose, is what I'll be told by him. It's not this grand, it's not this like tangible thing. Yeah.
You have contact with him about every 3 to 4 weeks.
Sometimes more, but yes, at least once every 4 weeks. Yeah.
About once every 4 weeks. Okay. Have you revealed this contact to your husband?
Yes, actually. So, so I did talk to him about it right away when I realized what was going on. So he was the first person I spoke to about this. It was about 4 weeks after a very close interaction that I had with Godric. So I did speak to my husband about this, and thankfully he was very open-minded and very, very understanding. And to him, it's a little bit strange because he doesn't have these types of experiences. He doesn't even remember his dreams. So for me to be having these like very otherworldly experiences is like, he doesn't have any context around it because he doesn't have those experiences. But yes, I can be extremely open with him about all of it, and he understands it, and he accepts it.
He doesn't get jealous?
No, he at least he hasn't said that. I don't. Maybe a little bit, because I know he's made jokes before about maybe he'll get a reptilian girlfriend. Like, I think lighthearted, like it can be kind of a joke between the two of us. But no, I don't think that he doesn't seem to get jealous unless I'm having a close relationship with another male human.
What about Godric? What does he think about your relationship with your husband in this dimension?
Yes. So, you know what? They actually are quite similar, where my husband here and Godric over here, they both want to have their experience with me, and they don't care to connect with each other or hear anything about each other. So they're both very aware of each other, and both of them actually love me so deeply that they're happy. They're happy. Like, Godric is happy that I have my husband here, and he's happy that I have Godric. But they don't want to know about each other. They're not. They just kind of want to just have their own experience and life with me.
When you wrote to me telling me about your experience, you mentioned that you had seen a therapist about this. What did your therapist think?
Well, I was very selective in what I shared with my therapist. And it was somebody that I trusted and somebody that I knew had an understanding of these types of beings. So I don't believe I would have shared it with someone if I didn't know that already. I didn't share very much. I shared just enough for me to feel heard. And to be honest, I don't think it was really necessary. I don't think it was very helpful for me to share that, because unless somebody has had an experience like this themselves, there's really no context or guidance for it. For me, it's just been something that I've had to decide to really lean into or pull away from. And then I get to make that decision. What do I want to do? And I also will say, when engaging with reptilian energy, it's very provoking. So you will go through a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And that is something that is very real. So it will provoke it'll provoke a lot of fear. It will provoke a lot of pain inside of you. It will go deep into your lower chakras. But if you are able to handle that energy, it will do wonders for you. burst open your heart. Energy will flow through you like you didn't know it could. Creative energy, joyous energy, but you have to have that that kind of perseverance to work with it long term, to be very patient with yourself, and also to keep remaining open to the negative experiences as well, because and I know that for me and other people who've worked with reptilians, you can kind of it will sometimes provoke some pretty gross feelings. It doesn't feel the same as working with, let's say, or co-creating or connecting with like angels or some really really high elite highly evolved being. It doesn't feel like that. It feels very very grounding and like very earthbound and kind of like yeah, it's dense. It's a more dense energy, so it's different.
Have you ever had to set boundaries with Godric? And what I mean like is, okay, we can only have contact when I'm sleeping.
No, I haven't had to do that. He seems to have more boundaries around, or he seems to actually have more boundaries around connecting with me than I do with him, to be totally honest. So I'm like, I'm pretty like I'm always inviting that. I'm always inviting it, and he's a little bit more. He's a little bit less like he has more boundaries, I would say, in that department than I do. So I'm more or less kind of asking him to visit me more.
Earlier, it sounded like that it was almost kind of forbidden or looked down upon for a reptilian to associate with a human.
Yeah, it is. So I believe that there's a little bit of a dynamic there too that I have to be careful of. I have to be careful that I remain in a place where I understand my own worthiness and that I am entitled to having experiences and that I'm worthy, because it can sometimes feel as a human engaging with at least earth reptilians, in my experience, it can feel kind of like you're less than, because they do it is generally looked down upon for them to engage with us humans, because we're not as evolved as them, and because some humans are do some pretty deplorable things, um, and like those traits that I mentioned at the beginning, they really really like, if they do engage with humans, it's typically the ones who have a lot of self-worth, a lot of strength, a lot of resilience, the ones who have a lot of dedication, the humans who are able to withstand a lot. Those are the ones that they are going to communicate with, because they like those traits. They want you to be incredibly, I'll use the word strong. That's a big thing for them.
Have you put a label on your relationship with him? Like, would you say you're boyfriend and girlfriend, lovers?
Yes, actually, I would definitely say we're lovers. Definitely.
Where do you see this relationship going ultimately?
I'd like to know the same thing. um, so I guess that's part of the experience and part of the journey for me, is that I don't know where it's going. And um, I know that I know there's some potentials, oh, maybe it could go here, maybe it could go there. Um, but that's the adventure. That's the adventure in it. That's the excitement in it. And I think just that what's really, really special for me is just that we are dedicated and committed to each other. And I never forget about him and he never forgets about me. And so it's not just, oh, I had this wild experience with this reptilian and then I move on. It's like he is very much a part of my life, and we continue. He uses the words co-creating a lot, like we co-create. And I know that he is helping me immensely with my spiritual growth in this life. I know that he's helping me open up my sacral chakra, my heart chakra. He's helping with me with a lot of things, and I'm sure I'm helping him with a lot of things as well. I'm just not as clear on what that is. So there's an excitement to not knowing where this is going. And for the last 2 years, it's gotten very real for me in the last 2 years. This has been going on a lot longer than 2 years, my whole life. But my awareness didn't start until I think I said about 8 years ago. But the last 2 years, it's really ramped up where he is visiting me in this, like he's physically coming here with me, and not just in a meditation. It's like, I know he's coming to me when I touch my skin and it feels like milk. I'm like, Godric is here. Okay. So, and it's kind of, it doesn't seem like I have a lot of say in when that is, but it's always at the perfect time. So he knows when I have a few hours of downtime or when it's the perfect time for him to come. So in the last 2 years, it's been more visits like that.
How does he help you spiritually?
So earlier I spoke a little bit about the reptilian energy being very provoking. So that's how he helps me. He provokes me. He provokes like these really intense um, feelings inside of me, like these buried, dark, deep human wounds that I have in this body, whether it comes from ancestors, whether it comes from trauma, or I don't even know where, but these really like these things, these energies, blocks, I'll call them blocks that are in my body that are really hard to deal with as a human. It's like what are you going to do, just go to talk therapy the rest of your life? And it doesn't really, you don't really seem to get anywhere with that. So he helps me spiritually by like shaking all of that up. When I have an experience with him, it's like profound, blissful, but then after I feel nauseous. I feel like I'm going to vomit, and I have vomited before, because something inside me is so. It's like if you imagine shaking something in a jar. That's how I feel after, and then I process it, whether that's through tears or anger or some type of negative emotion. I'm going to be honest, and then it's gone from my body, and then um, I have at that point, I have evolved spiritually. I have evolved in the human sense of the word. Like I've gotten past another trauma. I've gotten past another block. So that's how he helps me. Is he gives me the opportunity to deal with some really nasty experiences.
In science, they would call the oldest part of the brain stem, like the reptilian part of your brain. And they may say it's responsible for things like aggression and dominance and territoriality and things like that. Does he evoke anything in you like that?
Yes. All of those things. Absolutely. And it's really in line with me. It's really in line with the way that I resonate. And so I welcome it. And they can be seen as negative, like you said, dominance, being territorial. Yes. And so those traits do come out in me, and I utilize them in a way that's very empowering. So I can be very dominating over my own sovereignty, and I can ask for what I actually need instead of just waiting for crumbs, or thinking that I'm not worthy. So that is actually in that sense, it has helped me feel worthy. It has helped me realize that I am deserving of standing up for myself, and that I don't have to just be this really small human. I can be big. So,
When you were astral traveling, do you ever see like a spaceship or anything like that?
no, I haven't ever, not with him, not with Godric. I haven't ever seen a spaceship. Actually, usually when we're astral traveling, it is it's space. Like it's like stars and planets, and we're just out in space. Um, that's where the majority of our experiences happen. They're just like the blackness of space, and there's stars around, and there's planets nearby. Um, and other than that, sometimes it's caves, and they're dark, but I can see because it's not like here, so it's like dark caves, but not in a scary sense, like caves. And I can hear water, and there's waterfalls, and there's water nearby. So a lot of like caves and water. Um, that's where most of our experiences would happen.
Have you ever searched around on the internet to see if anybody else is having experiences like you?
Yes, I have, and that's what prompted me to come on here on this podcast, is because I would like to find more people who have had experiences like me, because I would love to engage with them, because I have never found anybody who has had an experience like me. And also because a lot of experiences, I know that there are people who have had positive experiences with reptilians. I have heard that, but the overwhelming majority of them are very negative. And so for me, I feel like an advocate in a way, to be like, they are like reptilians. They're just like us. Like they're capable of love and connection, and they do provoke fear in us, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that they are negative or scary. Actually, what I've learned is that when we're provoked by reptilian and having fear, usually, or I think, yeah, usually that fear is just coming from inside of us, because I have had that experience. I haven't spoken about my other reptilian experiences yet, but with them, there's another race that I used to feel a lot of fear around them every time I saw them, but they would keep coming until the fear stopped. So no, I haven't found anyone, especially with what I'm describing, the very unique engagement of Godric coming here and being able to touch my body with my body. I haven't heard that anywhere. So I think that is something that I would love to hear more about, other people having those experiences as well.
If people want to reach out to you and contact you, what's the best way to do so?
Through email. So just send me an email, because I don't have a social media presence. So that would be the best way. So.
Would you like to share your address?
Yeah. Do you want me just to spell it out?
Sure.
Okay. So it's my first name, Talya, talya.tows. That's TOWS at protonmail.com.
Have you had contact with other races of ETs?
Yes, I have. So I have another race of ETs that I'm also. This is another reptilian that I am consistently in contact with, not as often as Godric. And I also, this is a more playful interaction. It's not romantic. I wouldn't consider this one similar to Godric in that way. But this other race, I guess I could start with what they look like. So these ones are very large. Like they're not just tall, they're just large, like very large, like so much bigger than us. And kind of like a simpler way for me to describe it is, if you imagine an alligator with like standing on its hind legs with like a rusty sandy color skin, and has a long snout, and yeah, it's this like orangey kind of sandy color. Its arms are quite short, and its tail is really thick. Not super long, but really thick. And usually they're not wearing anything, but when they are wearing clothes, it's a robe. Like I've seen them in navy blue robes. So a long navy blue robe, and it's open. Like they don't tie it closed, it's just open. And so, and they're quite like stout is how I would describe it as well. And their snout is kind of squared off. It's kind of like squared off at the edge. Um, so this race of reptilians, they are much further advanced than us, more advanced than Earth reptilians. I don't know what like density or dimension or anything like that they're in, but I know they're highly evolved. Um, and so I'm in contact with a family of reptilians in this one, with this race, but mainly one, and I call him Kent. So again, he doesn't have a name, but his resonance and the way that we communicate, we have come up with Kent for him. So he is like, if you imagine the energy of this like really kind, playful uncle, and just like he's like very wise and just like wants to have fun. And so actually my very first engagement that I remember with Kent was, it was so funny. He was like, it's always so playful in nature. He was actually pushing me in a wagon. And this was in the astral realm. So this was very, this is in one of my astral projections. And so he was pushing me in this wagon, and I was looking at these beautiful things. And then I thought to look behind me and to see who was pushing me. And that's when I saw Kent, the reptilian. And I was terrified. I was so scared because my brain went, oh, a reptilian. I'm supposed to be scared. And so I got scared. And he looked at me and telepathically completely calmed me down. Like that. Suddenly I was like just overcome with this feeling of warmth. And and he provokes a playfulness. And so after, immediately I said, telepathically again, I said, can I touch your snout? And he said yes. So I just turned around in the wagon and he let me touch his face, because I was so curious. I was so curious what his skin felt like. And he had these pointy teeth, these sharp teeth. And he's like this wise character and like gives me advice, and he gave me advice on what to do when I'm feeling fear and like what to think about. And so this is another reptilian contact that I have as well. And Kent is there. So this race of beings is not, my understanding is that they're not very well known to humans at all, but they are in contact with, I don't know about a lot of humans, but more than me, way more than me. And they do contact humans, and they do exactly with them what they're doing with me, which is helping us with our fear of reptilians. So they come, they spend time with us in the astral realm, and they essentially just like play with you, like you're a little kid, and like they're this fun uncle. And even if we don't have memories of this, like a lot of people who don't remember their dreams, you could be having these experiences, and they're helping us evolve past our fear of reptilians. So I think that's really special.
What about any ETs that are non-reptilian?
Yes, I have had experience with non-reptilian ETs as well. Not very thorough experiences. They're kind of choppy and short. And I'm not sure if I could, yeah, they're kind of choppy, short, few and far between, but I've had experiences with this one race of beings. They might have a name. I feel like I've heard other people talk about these ones before, but they're tall and skinny, and they wear purple. They wear like a purple cape with a hood. I'm not sure if I think maybe they kind of look like grays, like with the big eyes. I'm not sure if, to be honest, I haven't really listened to a lot of people talk about their experiences with these types of EEs, with these types of ETs, but they really scared me when they approached me. Absolutely terrified me because they walked up to me so slowly and they had their faces covered with the hoods, and I was absolutely terrified. And I was sleeping and I woke up to this purple light, and there was 4 of them, but only one walked towards me very slowly, and I was frozen. Like one of those experiences where you kind of, and I was just absolutely terrified. But it's kind of choppy because I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if I just went back to sleep or if they abducted me and I came back. I lost track of time. I have no idea what happened after. I don't have memory of that.
Has Godric ever mentioned to you that there are reptilians in our dimension? Because I have had a guest that claimed that he had a relationship with a shape-shifting reptilian, and he finally figured it out and got out of the relationship.
Yes. So I'm also aware of that just from other people's stories. And I don't have, I don't understand I don't understand those situations very well. Um, I don't want to put a label on it and think that they're all negative, but I do wonder what the intentions are there. Like with the shape shifting ones and the ones who would come into our reality and not disclose what they really are. See, that to me seems coercive and not transparent. So I would turn away from those. I haven't had a situation like that, but I wouldn't be interested in that because if there's no truth and honesty there, then to me it feels like, what's the motive? Yeah.
Would you say that you're in love with Godric?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I would say that, actually. I would say that I'm in love with him. And even with us living in different dimensions and we don't wake up and have coffee together. We don't have this normal experience, but the way that I can tell and the way that other people can tell if they have experiences is you will truly feel it in your body. You will feel it, like that feeling that I had of excitement and peace when he was energetically like melding or meshing with me. That will tell you everything. Just like listen to what's going on inside of your body, which can be kind of tough because if you have a lot of excitement, you're going to have that adrenaline, and then are you going to decipher that adrenaline as fear or love? It can be kind of hard. So it's like, for me, it's like I really have to let it settle and check in with my heart. And yeah, I absolutely love him. I love him deeply. I completely trust him. And it's interesting because I know that some people have a lot of fear around this, and they will project their own fears or concerns onto me, and that I shouldn't be engaging with Godric. That I shouldn't be because he could be evil, he could be a demon, he could be all these things. And I think that I think that is something that is very real. And so I understand why people are concerned or maybe even scared. But if you just listen to what's going on inside of you, you'll know. If you have a level of discernment, I believe everyone can discern for themselves if they're in love or not, or if these otherworldly beings are in love with you, have your best interest or not. I think it's a question of discernment in yourself.
Have you revealed what's going on to other people besides your husband? And if so, what are their reactions?
No, I haven't. Actually, this is the first time. So I have I have one friend that I can think of right now. and her name is Lisa, and I have come out to her about this, but my family, no, no. I keep it very close to my heart. So because it is a very special relationship to me, it's a very special connection. And like we talked about earlier, I don't know where this is going. I'm excited for the adventure and what's to come of this. I very much feel like a reptilian advocate in a way. So there's an excitement there, but no, my family doesn't know. My immediate family has no idea. I have never talked to them about any of this. And they would probably think they would have some concerns. So I don't discuss it with people that I don't trust, except for here.
Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
Yes, of course, Jeff. Thanks for asking. That's a nice question and a nice way to end. I would like to leave this with just saying that I think a lot of humans are having really unique experiences at this time, and unexplained experiences, confusing experiences, wondering if what type of ETs we're talking to or beings we are talking to, struggling with discernment. So I guess I just want to say that I just want to come on here and shed some light on that's happening to me too. And everything I shared in this interview here is the truth as I know it right now. But I think things are shifting, evolving, changing, and I don't really know where. I can't sit here and claim to have all these answers. I just have my experience. And so I hope for anyone else having these experiences with ETs to just appreciate that experience for what it is. And like, it's an adventure, and it could very well be to help you, to heal you, and to create a lot more love in your life. So, yeah.
Talya, thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.